welcome to Polymer Clay TV. I'm Kira, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cool tricolor veneer using just one simple tool. Let's get started. So this is a pretty simple technique, but it produces really cool results. I have taken some Primo, rolled it out fairly thin, like a medium thin, and painted it with my Extreme Sheen. This color is called Aquamarine, and let it dry. And I've got a contrasting color of Primo. This is Fuchsia, and that's also rolled out so that I can work with it. I've got a cutter so I can make a shape, and I have one of my Do Anything tools for pushing things into place if I need it. Not sure if I will. And the focus of today's lesson is the Etch N Pearl by Sculpey. And these are tools that have a little cup on one end and kind of like a knitting needle on the other. So a poker tool. This end has goes from thin to different thicknesses that you can make the hole in your bead. So I'm going to use the smallest one. And what I've done here is, because I have two colors of clay and a color of paint, we're going to make a 3-colored veneer. And how I like to do this is to really find an edge where I have the paint, and I've made sure that my clay is just about the right thickness to make a little scoop out of this. So I'll just press in and kind of use my finger to get the little edges off. And then what I'm going to do is put this down on my other sheet of clay and twist and lift. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing a little better. I'm basically scooping out a piece of the painted clay, getting rid of that little edge with my finger so that it's just a little scoop of clay, and then placing that onto the base clay, pressing it down and kind of spinning it off. So what I have left over here would be the 3 pieces that are stuck down to the base clay, and the tops of them are the paint color, the middle point is the clay color, and then they're attached to that other clay base. Okay, so what to do with these little divots if you tried to press in a piece and it wouldn't stick? I'm just going to scoop a little with my Etch N Pearl of the base color and use my little tool here to scoop it out and press it in place in that little empty spot to give me again a flat area to put a new chunk of the colored clay. So you'll notice that I'm pulling my clay from the parts where the paint is really saturated. Like right here, there's sort of a missing piece, and I won't take any from there because I really want my paint color to show. Ooh, that's okay. So I'm pushing straight down on the Etch N Pearl into this paint covered chip here because I want the paint color. Ooh, it really doesn't want to stick right there for some reason. I really want that paint color to pop on top of the clay color. Now you can do a pattern like this where you're precisely laying down your clay pieces to make a regular pattern and follow the shape of the Etch N Pearl. Or you can randomly place your dots. I'll spin this around and show you what I mean. So you can randomly just put them down and not have them be in a pattern. It's up to you. It depends on what you're trying to do. You also can use the other sizes of the Etch N Pearl. However, Let me zoom back out. So what we have here is the medium-sized cup, and this clay layer here is not going to be thick enough to fill the cup because I spread it out thin so that I could get the smaller one to work. So I'm going to put a layer under here of scraps and then pull a piece of this medium cup out of that area that had an extra layer under it. So that I could be able to have enough to fill the cup. That's the aim, is that the cup be filled with the clay when you press down that Etch N Pearl on it, so that you have a little nubbin of clay to stick down on your surface. And you'll notice my technique is kind of like wiggle and press and then spin it off with my thumb and finger. So you can make a wide open pattern, you can make a tight pattern, you can do this however you want. I'll come back and show you what I've got. Alright, so here's where I ended up with a nice little pattern on my sheet of clay. And of course, with anything like this, you're going to have a bunch of scraps, but that's fine because we might be able to use them for something. You know, you can always use your polymer clay scraps for your projects. So I'm just going to leave those off to the side while I show you what's next here. And what's next is going to be rolling this out flat, because right now you've got all these little pearls or buttons of clay that are standing up above the surface, and we want this actually to be totally flat. And depending on what you're doing with it, my intention is to fill this flower, and I feel like that's gonna happen because they're gonna be stretching in both directions as I flatten everything into the clay. So I'm just gonna use a roller with gentle pressure and start flattening the tops in one direction and then in the other. And then it's going to go into the pasta machine to really flatten it out. So I'm going to roll it in this direction and then in this direction so that I don't get a bunch of ovals, so that they stay more or less circular. I think I'm also going to chop off this little section because I don't need it right now. And that could be a fun, different kind of veneer to alternate the different sizes, but I'll work on that some other time. Now this has gone through 3 thinner settings on my pasta machine, starting at the biggest setting and going down 3, and each time turning it this way, then that way again. And you can see that I'm starting to see a crackle of the aqua paint, and I'm also seeing that clay color underneath. Now, I want to stretch this out so that I don't see any seams at all. So I'm going to cut off my edges and recombine them into a sheet to put under this so that I can keep rolling it out, making that top layer stretch. So here I have a new sheet that's the right size to put under and behind this, so I can continue rolling it through the pasta machine and stretching out those circles. So here's what I'm left with, and I really like this. And it's up to you to decide at what point you're done making your veneer. So I like the fact that I've got this polka dot effect, and in the center of each polka dot is a little crackle of the aqua paint surrounded by the green colored clay. So now I can use my cutter to make a shape. Got a piece of deli wrap to help me do that a little more easily on a tile. Okay, and then remove my center. I must not have pressed very hard on this side. Oops. Okay. And of course you can use whatever other tools you have if you have any cleanup. I usually use my rubber tip tools for this part, just to clean up edges and stuff. But look how fun that is. This is a really fun way to make a veneer. So before you ask, no, Create Along does not carry the Etch N Pearls. You can find those on Sculpey.com or any site that sells Sculpey products. And they do come in the set of 3, the medium, tiny, and large. And the fun-shaped cutters and things like that you can find at createalong.com. So thanks for checking out this episode of Polymer Clay TV, and I hope you'll come back next week and try some more fun stuff. If you want to share, have your questions answered, or see a lot of really cool polymer clay artwork by 15,000 members, come on over to polymerclaytribe.com and join our Facebook group. We'll see you next week on Polymer Clay TV.